I'm a professional raconteur. I have no time for a theme song. Hey everyone, Dan Wickline here, professional raconteur, and a quick video to talk about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, the sequel to the hit Doctor Strange movie starring Benedict Cumberbatch and directed by Scott Derrickson. Now, it was reported back on January 9th that Derrickson had left the production of the sequel under mutual terms. I think he's still staying on as a producer, but he will not be directing. They used the famous creative differences as the reason, and he's been pretty open about it on social media. That is the reason, and it's probably that he wanted to go a little darker than they wanted to. I mean, that's, Marvel still wants to make movies for a general audience, and Derrickson is known as a horror writer or horror director. So I can see that almost being legit. I mean, I know we get that from just about any time a director leaves a project, creative differences, but this one almost sounds plausible. I'm actually going to buy it. So the news yesterday. Well, when the Derrickson leaving, my first thought was they need to bring somebody in who has a horror background but is used to dealing with characters of a superhero nature or comic book background. And my first thought was Guillermo del Toro, who I thought would be perfect coming off of the Hellboy trilogy, all his other movies, and the talk of Justice League Dark. But Marvel has pulled a fast one, and according to Variety, they're in talks with Sam Raimi. Now, most of you know Sam Raimi from either his most popular creator-owned thing, or however you want to term it, the Evil Dead / Army of Darkness trilogy, or I guess it's more than a trilogy now, isn't it? Because they did the TV series, and I think they did a remake. Anyway, and then there's also the Spider-Man trilogy he did for Sony with Tobey Maguire and Kristen Dunst. Anyway, so Raimi is a really interesting choice for the part, or for directing it, because he's got the credentials. He's got people that love what he did on Spider-Man 1 and 2. Spider-Man 3, people assume that was Sony's insisting on shoving as many characters in there as possible. It could have just been Sandman with James Franco's Green Goblin kind of playing it out, but instead they had to put Venom in there, and it really just totally screwed up the storyline. So most people give Raimi a pass on that one, and he's still kind of lauded in the as a director. And even though he hasn't done much since Spider-Man 3, he's done 2 films, I believe, Drag Me to Hell, and I'm zoning on the second one. Take me a second to check here. Yeah. Oh, and Oz the Great and Powerful, also with James Franco. So it's interesting that he hasn't been doing much directing wise. He's done a couple TV series. He's in talks to do stuff like the King Killer Chronicle, which I am very excited about. That is a fun book series that still needs to be finished. So Patrick Rothfuss, if you're listening, finish the damn book. But Raimi makes it a very interesting choice. Now, I think his background would make him an excellent choice with Evil Dead and stuff. He can balance the comedy and the seriousness. He may be a little too funny at times, but then that's what they're doing with Taika Waititi, and look what it did for Thor. So bringing a little more humor to Doctor Strange, which had humor in the first place, the cloak, the whole thing about trying to make Wong laugh and then him finally laughing at the end. Dormammu, I've come to bargain. That's a really clever ending. So Raimi could bring that to it, as well as dealing with the horror. The other things he could bring to it is his brother Ted and Bruce Campbell. I had a friend of mine suggest Bruce Campbell should play Rintra, which is a Minotaur from the Marvel Universe that helped Doctor Strange for a while. And he would be an interesting character to bring in. But Normally Campbell just cameos, so having him back in the Marvel Universe after he made 3 appearances in the Spider-Man trilogies would be interesting. But overall, I really like this idea. I think Raimi brings an excitement, and there's a collective sigh of relief because a lot of people really liked what Derrickson did, and Derrickson himself has come out and said that he likes the idea of Raimi, that he's worked with him and thinks he's an excellent choice to step in on Doctor Strange. So if the exiting director likes the choice, fans are clamoring, are happy about it. I think this is a really good move for Marvel. The only concern is that Raimi got stomped on by the studio at Sony. What's he going to be like with Marvel? Now, is he used to dealing with stuff like that, or is he going to be more resistant to studio interference? But Marvel's got a great track record. They seem to know what they're doing when it comes to studio interference. You know, Kevin Feige's got a strong hand, but it works. So will Raimi lean back and go, okay, these are the things you want, fine, I'll just make my movie around it? Or will he butt heads with Feige? And I believe Feige was involved with the original Spider-Man movies, so there's probably already a relationship between the two of them. So that's probably a good plus right there. I'm really excited about this idea. I think the Multiverse of Madness is going to be a big thing for Marvel. I think it's going to help set up whatever the next big thing is. You know, maybe it's time for them to go something. Well, I don't think they'll do Mephisto as the big bad for the next season, but the multiverse is probably going to be a key. And I think Benedict Cumberbatch is going to be one of the hinge pins of Marvel going forward. He's going to be the Robert Downey Jr. And I think they're in good hands. So excited to hear about Raimi. Hopefully the negotiations go through and they'll start moving forward on it in no time. So, and remember that the film is actually going to tie into the WandaVision series that'll be debuting on Disney Plus in December of this year. So we'll get a hint of what it'll be like. And if you saw the trailer for the Disney Plus shows, WandaVision looks completely batty. I mean, there's a moment where she's in her comic accurate costume, but done up like a Halloween costume. It looks like we're jumping from sitcom to sitcom, from I Love Lucy to Roseanne to Full House and everything in between. So it'll be interesting to see how that sets up the Multiverse of Madness. And I'm curious if Loki is also going to play a role in that as well, because he's going to be jumping through different dimensions in time with the Tesseract. So that should be really interesting to see how that works out. So keep an eye out on the trades, see if a Raimi deal comes through. I have a feeling it will. And then look forward for Wanda and Vision. All right. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Oh, and remember to hit the subscribe and the like and all those things that are down below, because that'll help me out as I'm trying to build this site. So have a good one.